Hello, this is Dr. James Rivera, and this video is for your second assignment, actually your first assignment after the discussion forum. You only have one actual thing labeled assignment in week 2 of synthesis writing. And this is for finding connections among your sources chart. So you're going to see this chart. You're going to download it when you open up that assignment in the module. It's going to look like this. Okay. So if you remember right, you in the discussion forum, you had to do outlines of each of your sources, paragraph by paragraph, and at the bottom you should have written a list of topics. Those are part of the instructions too. Um, and what I want you to do is look on your three sources, look at the list of topics across the bottom, and look for topics that two or more of your sources have in common. And if you have topics in common among your sources, and you should, because they should all be about a main topic. You write that into here, and then you'll write the name of your source here. You can just put down the author's name or a short title if that helps you, whatever works for you. And then what you're going to do is remember those paragraph by paragraph summaries. For source one, write in the paragraph numbers where each of these topics are discussed. And then do that the same for source two. And then do the same for source three. So I'm going to write on this right now. And let's imagine our research paper, our synthesis paper was on Hurricane Katrina. So I'm going to write my name down here as if I'm the student. And when you're doing this form, you're going to have to upload it, okay? So you can type into it in Word. I didn't lock the document. You shouldn't have any problems doing that. Or you can write it and take pictures of it. But if you do that, you're going to have to combine the front and the back into a single image somehow. So you're going to have to figure out how to do it all in one file when you upload it. All right. So the topic is Hurricane Katrina. All right. Let's say you read a source by an author named Brown and an author named Smith and an author named Jones. I'm brilliant. And let's say Hurricane Katrina. Let's say you're reading all these sources about Hurricane Katrina, and you notice one common topic of discussion is state and federal responses. And then another is a description of the hurricane. Okay. And another might be the damage done. Of course, a description of the hurricane would be like the dates in its path and wind speeds and things like that. So that'd be separate from the damage. And another might be aftermath, political, social, things like that. And maybe cultural. What kind of cultural profile does Hurricane Katrina have? So let me show you what I did. Okay, so you see I wrote the names of the authors here, Brown, Smith, and Jones. And you notice I wrote the topics here. So the main subject is Hurricane Katrina, subtopics, government responses, description of the hurricane, the damage done, the aftermath, and the cultural profile of the hurricane. So I have the names of the sources here. I just put down the author names, or you can put abbreviated titles in here. And then I put my subtopics across here. So let's say Brown talks about government response in paragraphs 1 to 3, with a description of the hurricane in paragraph 4 and damage in paragraph 6. And let's say Smith describes the hurricane in paragraph 1, spends about 2 or 3 paragraphs describing the damage, and a couple of paragraphs describing the aftermath. And then Jones, let's say it talks about it describes the hurricane first thing. It spends 3 or 4 paragraphs describing the aftermath, and then a few more paragraphs on cultural impact, and then maybe the last paragraph is government response. Okay, so see these numbers here? Those are the paragraph numbers I wrote in. And remember how you outlined all your sources by paragraph numbers? So you can write your source paragraph numbers in here too. So Brown paragraphs 1 to 3 are government responses. Description of the hurricane itself was in paragraph 4, and the damage was in paragraph 6. And maybe paragraph 5 talks about something that's not in common with any of the sources. And you see Smith has a description in paragraph 1, talks about damage in paragraphs 2 to 3, in the aftermath in paragraphs 4 to 5. And Jones starts with a description, aftermath in paragraphs 2 to 4, cultural impact in paragraphs 5 to 7, and government response in paragraph 8. Now look at these columns here. Each of these columns can be subtopics or your own paragraphs in your synthesis paper. So you have 2 sources that talk about the government response. So let's look at the back here. Okay, notice this. There's a couple of different ways of outlining. One is this graphic with the circles. And by the way, I picked this up. This form up was developed by members of the English department in one of my previous institutions. I didn't create this. I think it's a great idea for teaching synthesis. It's maybe a little complicated for doing it in a fully asynchronous course. So I'm creating this video because it may be a little confusing. Normally, I'm walking students through this in a classroom setting in person. So what you're trying to do here is a little bit harder. All right, so like this main circle here would be the main topic of your paper. So I'm going to write in here Hurricane Katrina. See, main topic is Hurricane Katrina. And then topics in common, government responses, they all describe the hurricane, damage, 2 of them, aftermath, 2 of them, and only 1 of them talks about cultural impact. So those are your next level subtopics, okay, right here. So government responses, description, aftermath, okay. So these are just 3 of the subtopics here. Government responses, description, and aftermath. And then under aftermath, you see you can go on and keep branching out because your different sources may describe different things about the aftermath, okay? So this would be like your subtopics in your own synthesis paper. These could be, you might have a paragraph or a couple of paragraphs on government responses, and you'll describe what all your sources say on government responses there. And then you might have a paragraph on description, and you'll describe what all your sources say about the description in there. Providing, when I say all your sources, you're not summarizing your sources completely within here. You're kind of providing your own overview of what all the sources say, occasionally quoting different sources to illustrate your point. And then aftermath, okay? And then here's where you get into specific similarities and differences. I don't really have a hard time doing this backwards thing. On any of your subtopics like aftermath. Like maybe one source says this about aftermath, another source this, and another source this. And they kind of conflict. So when you're synthesizing, you can describe the different positions your sources hold about aftermath, and you can keep branching on. Another way to do this outline, this is just a graphic representation of an outline, is that you can just outline it like this, okay? So this first circle, the first subject group would be government responses. And the second subject group would be description. And the third subject group would be aftermath, okay? So you see the first subject group here, government responses. And then you have subtopics under there, and the second subject group would be description. So you see government responses, description, aftermath. And then you have subtopics within each group, okay? So what I want you to do on the back of this form is to basically type out an outline of your synthesis paper following the organization that you created on the front. And that's what you're uploading to the assignment. So what I recommend you do is download this. I provided a Word document and you fill it out. And then, and by the way, this is modified somewhat from the original for this assignment. And then type out your outline here, or use the circles here. If the visual organization makes more sense to you, you can do this or this. Okay. And then upload this document to the assignment at the end of synthesis writing module 2. Okay. So that's your work for this week. It's just really nailing down your sources paragraph by paragraph, and then organizing them into topics, and then writing an outline. Okay, so this exercise here, the assignment at the end of module 2 for synthesis writing, is designed to help you organize your sources into subtopics. Okay, this seems kind of weird, maybe a little confusing, and I understand, but try it. Again, we're asking you to think about sources in a specific way. What you don't want to do in your synthesis paper is write 3 consecutive summaries of your 3 sources. You will fail the paper if you do that, okay? That's not what I want. That's too easy, okay? I want you to think differently about your sources. I want you to see connections between your readings. So I want you to create your own organization of your subject, and the way it's covered by those 3 sources, by finding out subtopics that all your sources talk about related to your main topic, and then grouping your sources by subtopic and seeing connections among your sources. Okay, you see the connections, you find the subtopics, you pick the sources, you pick your topic. Okay, so it's up to you from here. If you have questions, if you're confused, send me an email and we can talk, and just go from there. And also see, look at what your peers do. If you think you don't have it, I mean, my experience has been most students understand the assignment a lot better than they think they do, but they don't know that they understand it. They're just not sure. So jump into it and try it. Okay, I know you're worried about your grade, and of course, I don't blame you. But the main thing about this work is seeing different ways to read and different ways to present your reading and writing. Okay. Again, I'm here to help you. So send me an email if you'd like to talk. Okay. And we can talk about how you might work this out for your specific sources, because you've already posted them. All right. All right. Take care. And I look forward to seeing your work this week.